we haven't seen in quite some time in terms of stock car racing. 3 prior Cars Tour Super Late Model starts, but this is his first attempt at a Cars Tour sanctioned Pro Late Model event. He won the JEG CRA All-Star event at Anderson Speedway last week. He's a former winner in Pro Late Models at the World Series of Asphalt, and he is now the fastest man in town. Had his hands full in turn number 1 there. He may have to stand on the first lap that he laid down. This is an Anthony Campy Racing prepared number 72 for Cody Coughlin, who's sideways in turn 4, back to the line.
You can see that's all it took. He just got a little bit out of the groove, but he's fastest so far.
Even that second lap with his hands full is going to be enough. 18.200 for Cody Coughlin to the Motley pole.
Another thing you'll hear, I know we touched on it earlier on in the broadcast, but for those of you just joining us back to watch Motley Pole Award qualifying, with these cars, particularly these Pro Late models, you are going to be hearing them on the chip, especially as they go downhill. Higgins had a slide out of turn 4 in his number 9 Alliance Driveway Solutions and Leapfrog landscaping machine for Highlands Motorsports. As his first lap is going to be second fastest for that of Ashton Higgins. Running a little bit lower, I think, trying to learn from some of the initial drivers that we saw go out. If you get out of this racing groove, it's been treacherous all week, but even more so now, I think, after some of the rubber washed off the racetrack. And another slide for Luke Baldwin. He holds on to it.
And that was coming to the green. This is the first ever Tommy Baldwin Racing prepared Pro Late Model that has come out of that infamous and familiar stable. He was the fastest car in practice. This is the Mohawk Northeast 7NY for Luke Baldwin, king of the modifieds at South Boston Speedway earlier this season. What does he have here in his Pro Late Model? 4th fastest the first time by, and continues to stay committed in turns 1 and 2, fighting the race car off the second corner. Edgy would not even begin to describe what these drivers are up against with another power slide off 4. And he somehow jumps up to 3rd. Wow!
He was loose there in 1 and 2 after his lap. I mean, my goodness, these drivers are on edge right now and are still able to make some fast time. You can see getting all the way out towards the wall in a wiggle into turns 1 and 2 is the Wilson Motorsports machine, driven by Cory Heim out of Marietta, Georgia. You know the success he is having in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series throughout this season and looking to get a victory here. He nearly was able to go to Cookout Victory Lane here at this racetrack a year ago, and he's destined to do it today as he almost brushes up and may in fact have brushed the wall off of turn 2, but he's fastest so far on his first lap around. First driver into the 18.1 second bracket. Can he best it here on lap number 2? Survey says indeed he will. 18.148 for Cory Heim.
And the hope is the more cars that we get on this racetrack, at least with the cars that are still to go, is as it begins to rubber up, it is only going to get faster. We did see sub 18-second laps in the test here about a few weeks ago. There's another driver who was very fast in the practice session earlier this afternoon before the rains came through. This is the driver for FR8 Racing out of Pendergrass, Georgia. In the FR8 Racing, it's CB Partners Speed U number 45, Seth Christensen, to 3rd on his first time through, trying to make his second career Cars Tour Pro Late Model start. The first one came here 1 year ago. They had to prepare this car as he has a big bobble there off turn 4. It is that of Christensen. And back to the line. He will move up to 2nd by 47 thousandths of a second. Hard to believe this is the backup entity for that team after sustaining damage in a crash at Montgomery Motor Speedway about a week and a half ago.
Good to see this driver back out onto the racetrack. Missed him at Orange County Speedway a couple of weeks ago after the incident, but was able to put that car together for Ace Speedway to go out there and run 17th. Also was a part of this race a year ago in the number 77 Jones Utility Construction and Jones Site Work Incorporated Chevrolet out of Fredericksburg, Virginia. This is Logan Jones, whose first lap will clock in for the number 77, second fastest for Jones. Can he find about 400ths to try and take Heim off the pole? And he does. Logan Jones, fastest so far, 18.125. What a lap for that small family operation.
Tremendous job for that driver and team. As you mentioned, Blake, they had to take a race off in order for the opportunity to regroup and come back to attack, and he's done just that. Here's a driver who will be attempting to make his NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series debut with Corey Roper's team this coming Saturday. Now trying to make his Cars Tour Pro Late Model debut. This is the driver number 54G out of Marble Falls, Texas, for his family-owned team in the Royal Vista Incorporated entry in that of Clayton Green. His first time around, he was 10th quickest. We'll see what Green could do here in that beautiful race car. Off of turn number 4 and back to the checkers. Green looking for a substantial pickup. He will gain 1 spot and slot into 9th of the 12 cars that have been on the racetrack so far.
Wiggling that car back and forth in turns 3 and 4, and I think one that could certainly challenge this Corvette could for the Mahle Pole Award at the end of this one. It's the number 43 CB Partners, AFCO, Ultimate QM, and Longacre Racing Products. Corvette out of Stanley, North Carolina completes his first lap. This is Nick Loden who was on the clock. And first lap for Loden, he gets high into 1 and 2, his 9th fastest, 18.404. Really starting to see kind of a little bit of a higher entry, I would say, from some of these drivers. And Loden well out of the groove, has to step out of the throttle a little bit. Not sure if he's going to be able to find more speed on the second lap. He is, but stays in that 9th position for now, down to 392 for that of Nick Loden.
The second number 43 car you will see here this afternoon, this one out of Stillwell Racing and the Oxford Baptist Church Simpson Race Products Gourmet Popcorn 113 and Protein entry out of Claremont, North Carolina, is that of Joshua Horniman. He's coming around to complete his first lap. Horniman comes to the line to clock in. 14th of the cars that have been on the racetrack so far. Joshua recently featured on an ABC 45 news segment prior to ACE last weekend as the network shared the story of Joshua being born hearing impaired and his ability to overcome the challenge to continue to accomplish his goals. He and his J-Dog Motorsports continue to set goals forth for them as he clocks in 13th fastest here. You can check out Joshua's social media outlets to learn more about this amazing young man and race car driver who is 13th fastest for now in Mahle Pole Award qualifying.
Really low entry there for Jake Bowman, something I think that you would have seen about a year ago when we started to see a lot of pro late model stocks. Heck, you even think a little bit later on in the Cup Series weekend for the All-Star race that a number of drivers were starting to use that apron down there as that car you could see bouncing a little bit, bottoming out at the bottom end of 1 and 2, and the number 24 LPG Transport Pacific Coast Propane Factory Canopies Toyota out of Huntington Beach, California. First lap for Bowman's going to be 1,000th better than his teammate in Cory Heim. Second fastest for Jake Bowman, 147. Still chasing Logan Jones. I mean, what a lap that Jones laid down earlier.
A driver that turned some heads in practice earlier on has a win in his lone start at Nashville Fairgrounds so far in 2024. In fact, he's a 3-time champion at the Nashville Fairgrounds. This is his own racing operation. The U.S. Tank, Hunter Industrial, and Haley Vet, number 89 for that, of Lebanon, Tennessee's Dylan Fetcho, whose first lap puts him up into the top 5, 4th. And boy, these times are close. Top 5 separated by 0.07 of a second. Fetcho needs about 6 if he wants to jump up to the Mahle pole. And to the line, he will do it by a blinding margin. Over 1.5 tenths for that of Dylan Fetcho, who is down in the 17-second bracket to lay down the top spot time.
I think they're building a lot more confidence. And again, a lot of these drivers that are down in the pit lane can watch the video board that's out in 3 and 4, and they are watching closely to see the line that these drivers are running or if there's confidence that they can have when putting the throttle down for their qualifying effort. This is the second Bryson Lopez Racing entry that we'll see out on the racetrack. This is the number 47 out of Covington, Georgia. It is Dustin Bryson who will be behind the wheel of this race car. Made his first Cars Tour Pro Late Model start at Hickory a little bit earlier on this year. And the first lap there for the number 47, or perhaps a lack of record, I should say, is 12th fastest for Dustin Bryson out of the 17 we've seen thus far.
Here's a driver who already has a Male Pole Award in the Pro Late Models in 2024. It came at Orange County Speedway 2 races ago. Driving the Jones Utilities Construction number 44 out of Fredericksburg, Virginia, is that of Connor Jones, who is fifth his first time by. He, too, is one of many drivers in the field that are going to be busy this weekend here at North Wilkesboro. He will be piloting the Thor Sport number 66 Toyota in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race here on Saturday night. First looking for a Wilkesboro win. As he comes to the line, Connor Jones will, according to timing and scoring, now move up into the third spot for that of Connor Jones.
It is tight there for the second and third position, all the way back to fifth, separated by just a couple of hundredths of a second. When you talk about drivers that could potentially go up and win this Male Pole Award, you should look no further than this number 51 out of Florida. It is Stephen Nasse, who will be pulling double duty here tonight at North Wilkesboro Speedway, both in the Pro Late Models and the Late Model Stocks. It is not his first time out here at this racetrack, though. His history here goes back to 2010 in the precursor to the Cars Tour. Ran a Hooters Pro Cup race here back in the day in 2010 at this racetrack. Did that of Stephen Nasse, whose first time is going to clock in 8th fastest for Nasse, and that'll wrap up his qualifying efforts. So Stephen Nasse, 18.208 into the top 10.
A little bit of a moment down in turn number 1, and what is a warm welcome and return for this driver. This is Jamie Yelton's Fathead Racing Driver Development Program for the number 55 Male Pole Award winner with us in 2023 at Dillon. This is George Phillips out of Charlotte, coming down to complete his first lap. 9th fastest the first time through. And turn number 1 on lap number 2 looks much better as he comes off the second corner. He's running some weekly series events at the Nashville Fairgrounds, has that of Phillips, after he wrapped up the 2023 Carolina Pro Series Late Model Championship last season. Second time around for Phillips will be a little bit faster, but he will remain 9th of the cars that have been out on the racetrack. So far, 20 of our scheduled 32 cars are slated to be out on the racetrack. But Blake, unfortunately, we are seeing the wheel and caution lights have illuminated around this racetrack. We have not received official confirmation yet if this could be for some precipitation in the area.
Well, I think you could see the crew members coming over and looking to perhaps wipe off the windshield. I think that's a clear indicator that there might be a couple of drops that are falling kind of towards the exit of pit road. Again, Dawson Sutton would have gone out as our 22nd of the cars that we'll send out of 32. So we got quite a ways through here, and I think you could see the crew members kind of standing around and awaiting official word, but a brief pause, as I'm sure the situation being assessed right here. This is a point worth bringing up, though, Eric, as a couple of teams will take the opportunity to put the rain covers on the late model stocks, that if we are not able to fully complete qualifying here in the pro late models, essentially what we just ran and some of the lap times that we saw would not be scored, as we would not have the ability to get all of these pro late models in. Now, again, if this is just a brief pause in the action, we can complete qualifying, we can get through everybody. That will be the way it is officially scored. But per the Cars Tool rulebook, if we are not able to complete an entire division's worth of qualifying, we would resort back to owner's points to decide the starting order for the race.
Which is exactly what you would see in the top 3 series in NASCAR.
Yeah.
Even if you got through all but one car and you could not conclude the session, that is what the rulebook states, as you mentioned. And I'm not sure that there would be anybody here more disappointed, perhaps, than that of Dylan Fetcho, who, as we said,
what a lap,
is holding what would be a new track record time by a large margin. The only driver under the 18-second bracket, but being that this is his first start with the Tour this season, he would be one of the many who would have to be forced to start towards the tail end of the field whenever this race would stay green, if that is the route that we have to go, of course. It would be a huge benefit for the likes of that of Caden Honeycutt, Spencer Davis, Kyle Campbell, drivers who up towards the top in the championship point standings. They would reap the reward of having this qualifying session fall back on that nature if necessary. But as you can see, we already have members of the track crew here doing everything they can to keep heat in this racetrack. And Blake, I'll pose the question. I think one of the drivers who may be on the fence about whether or not he wants to see this thing get back going is the next driver out in that of Dawson Sutton. I mean, we saw what happened to that of Matt Craig. He is one of the best to ever do it, especially in this style of race car. It doesn't matter if it's a pro or a super.
Yeah.
And based on his lap time, he is 17th out of the 20 cars that have taken a lap so far. And he was the driver who went out on what was the greenest of green racetracks after we got this session back going after the first weather delay.
I think there's a lot of drivers who, of course, they want to get this qualifying session. And you think about the fact that we have so many drivers in this field that do not, basically they don't have owner's points coming into this race. We've been through enough races here at the start of the year. It would typically be the first 3 races of a season. You would revert back to owner's points from 2023. We've had enough races here in 2024 to which we would go off of current owners points from this season. But just with the nature of this field and the fact that this racetrack brings out a significant number of competitors, that there would be a large majority of the field that perhaps would be starting at the tail end once we get going green. Now, that'd be a great show to watch the likes of Jonathan Schaefer, which he'll have owner's points from Walker Motorsports. But you think about Fetcho, how about Logan Jones, who would be significantly benefited by the lap that he put down. But we would have a number of very, very fast drivers who have not competed this year, and they would have to start at the tail end of the field. And we have heard time and time again, Eric, about how much different drivers anticipate this race playing out with this new asphalt, and that it could be a little more difficult to pass than what we've had in the past with an exceptionally abrasive surface. It'd be a little bit more difficult to pull off in 100 laps.
So as things stand right now, Dylan Fetcho is the Mahle pole sitter with the session now on hold. Logan Jones with the bit of medicine that the team certainly needed, second fastest right now with that of Connor Jones third. Jake Bowman, who I think, Blake, if we look back at Ace Speedway, you want to talk about a team that never gave up. Bowman had Nick loaded on top of him in turn number 1 at one point in that race. They kept in it, kept fighting despite the damage, and missed out on a top 10 effort by just 1 spot. So far, off on the right foot here as far as this qualifying session goes, with Cory Heim scored in 5th, Seth Christensen 6th, Cody Coughlin 7th, Stephen Nassy 8th, George Phillips 9th, Ashton Higgins your top 10. Let's get a trackside report from Jacqueline.
Hey guys, we're standing down here. Lane Riggs and Connor Hall, they're deep in discussion. And Lane, we see a little bit of a modification on your fire suit. This is legit, this sticker, a handwritten RNS race cars, which actually alludes to a little bit of the differences that you're dealing with today in a different team. Talk to us a little about that.
Yeah, it was a kind of a last-minute deal. Super thankful to them and Tom Usher Racing for giving me the opportunity to drive this car, this 00. So I was going to have to end up running my own car for this race, and they called me up and was like, hey, we got a car, come drive it. I was like, shoot, yeah, we're at Wilkesboro. Of course I'm going to take it. So it's really fast in the test, and I'll kind of struggle today along with everybody else with a green racetrack. So it's we're going to see what it is. Connor here is doing the rain dance because he wants to start on the pole. I'm doing the not rain dance because if not, I'm going to be starting in the trunk of the field. So it's I think either way we'll have a good race. Hopefully he puts on a good battle. It seems like turns 1 and 2, the high line's kind of preferred, and 3 and 4, the bottom's kind of preferred. So I think a lot of guys will be shooting to the bottom in 1 and 2, and you got to fend them off through 3 and 4. So hopefully it'll be a good race. I can move forward, but hopefully, first of all, we can qualify.
Yeah, let's definitely get that qualifying effort for you. And I have to say, the 62, the 99, the 00, the numbers just keep coming at you this year. You're all over the place. How's it been jumping in all these different cars?
It's an awesome opportunity. It's been the number 99 for my entire life, and just super thankful to Infinity Communications, Prairie Tank Lines, everybody that's gotten me to this point. It's been amazing to get the calls and the understanding of the talent that I got, and people want to put me in their cars and want me to showcase it and showcase their cars. So it's an awesome opportunity. I want to do the best for everybody I drive for, and it's awesome to be here at Wilkesboro.
It's been pretty cool watching you develop all through the Cars Tour, and now moving on to bigger and, I don't know if better, but it's great to see you doing great things in motorsports. Connor, I just saw you dancing a little bit. Why don't you show the camera what you just had going on? Can you show us your dance move?
I don't know what you're talking about.
We saw the rain dance happening. His girlfriend's over here laughing because she also saw it. You obviously do want it to rain because you want to start on the front. Do you not think that you can get it done if you go back to qualifying?
I just, I'd be a little ignorant to think that, it'd be a for sure thing. So I've just been joking. I think we have a really good autos by Nelson 22, but I'd rather shoot ducks in a rain barrel rather than take my chance against some of the best late model stock car drivers in the country. So Obviously, starting on the pole would be a privilege. It'd be really cool to lead the field, back to the green flag here at North Wilkesboro. But, I mean, I'm very confident, and like I said, in our equipment and our car, I feel really good. Kind of the same thing that I feel like Lane and a lot of other guys are dealing with. The track was way gripped up, compared to what we're used to on this platform for the tire test and then, the optional test 2 weeks ago. But I don't know. It's just everybody's kind of sliding around today. So I think, like I said, I'm doing my rain dance. I hope it rains for about another solid hour, and then we get to go green.
Listen, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say ducks in a barrel. I thought it's like fish in a barrel, but maybe that's a Virginia thing, so I'm learning from you today. Obviously, the repave is a big part of it. People are learning a little bit of it. Even with the rain, before that, people were getting loose in practice today. Do you like the new surface, or are you missing the old?
So just being like the late model stock car fan that I am, I think that a softer tire, more abrasive surface definitely produces better racing. Unless you're Brendan Queen last year, he just made 125 pace laps. But as far as like the field, I think that I think there's definitely a different respect that needs to be had when you come to a place like this when you're going that much faster. I wouldn't say like the speeds are that incredible overall, but we're going a whole second faster. So I just think that this isn't a short track to us anymore. This kind of race is more like a mile and a half would for, a bigger car like an ARCA or a truck, because it's more momentum based. I don't really think like the bump and runs are going to be such a thing. I think it's going to be more like bump and wrecks. But like I said, I think if everybody keeps a cool head and has some respect, it's going to be an incredible show.
Well, I can't wait to see you get done. Let's hope that your rain dance doesn't work, though. The clouds part, we are able to race tonight, and everything goes as planned. Good luck to you, though. Guys, we're going to send it back up to you in the booth. The rain is actually starting to come down a little bit hard here, so it's not good for our hair, and we got to get underneath some coverage.
Thanks, Jacqueline. I got to say, if Connor Hall wants to say he's doing a bit of a rain dance, next time we got to see it. But all jokes aside, Blake, you and I were sitting up here nodding at one another. Connor brought up an exceptional point about this place right now.
Yeah, and just the fact that, he said that this place doesn't necessarily drive like a short track, and that it requires a different level of respect. And there's a lot of different things that play into that. He mentioned, the new pavement that we have here, a little bit of a harder tire compound of the ST2s and the ST3s, by the way, that these drivers will be running on the right side of their cars. ST2s will be on the left. But made a really interesting point there about respect and how there needs to be a little bit of a different level of respect here. And I think Brandon Pierce also kind of brought this up a little bit earlier, listening to the Big Time Auto Racing podcast, which if you haven't, great listen. You should definitely partake in that if you're a Cars Tour fan throughout the week. And made a great point when we were at Ace Speedway a couple of weeks ago. Every once in a while it's nice to kind of have to get out and maybe get a little bit physical, but not step over that line that Brandon Pierce talked about. But when you come to this place, it is a large racetrack. 5/8 of a mile. It's bigger than anywhere we go in the Cars Tour. It doesn't necessarily have that tight bull ring short track feel, but with the speeds that these drivers are carrying, despite the fact that it's going to be tough to pass, despite the fact that you're going to be kind of running for a narrow racing groove here, I think there is something to be said in taking care of one another, that there is a different level of respect necessary for that, and the fact that any mistakes here are going to be somewhat magnified with how fast these drivers are going around here now.
Last year, the late model stock pole speed was 19.125 seconds. That equates to over 117 miles per hour. And this year, we expect things to be a second faster. This, for some drivers, is the fastest they've gone off into a corner, unless if some of these drivers have had like super late model experience, perhaps. But for some of these drivers, this is the fastest they have ever traveled in their racing career. And it's going to be put to a big test. And we've thrown another wrench in with another burst of rain from the clouds. We remain in a weather delay here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. We'll be back for what we hope to be the continuation of
Well, friends, would you look at that up there? We've got some blue sky above the famous North Wilkesboro Speedway. It's race day, a doubleheader, pro late model stock cars for the Cars Tour here at the world famous North Wilkesboro Speedway. We're going to do our pit walk. You know what? I don't even think we even have to start walking. He just walked right through the shot. We'll just grab him. He's got his hard card. This is the defending winner of North Wilkesboro Speedway. Brandon Queen, what's up, buddy? You feel good about this weekend? It's a little bit of a big weekend for you.
It is, but the problem is I don't know when I'm actually going to get on the track. It could be today. It could be Monday. Who the heck knows?
It's going to be today. You see that blue sky up there?
I don't know.
Keep the faith, brother.
You know what? The way that my season's gone, I'm just going with the flow, baby. Flow. See it right there? Get that. Going with the flow.
There we go. He's going to go for another win. We're going to keep going with our pit walk here. Hey, good luck, buddy.
Hey, thank you, Dillner. Thank you, Rob. Y'all have a good pit walk.
All right.
Don't get the checkerboard shoes wet.
That's too late for that. It's too late for that.
How's your walk going to go?
Bean Nation, baby, rise up. How's my walking going? They got a little wet yesterday. I had to let them lay on the heater last night, air them out, you know. But I got another pair in the truck.
It's clutch to always have a second pair.
As long as my race shoes don't get wet, that's the main goal.
Can't have that. Now, do you have different shoes for the late model and for the truck? New stuff for the truck?
I'm poor. I'm down to one pair. That's all I can afford right now. So maybe if I go win a truck race, I can get me a new pair of shoes.
There you go. That's what we're going for. New shoes and some waffles here. We'll catch up with Brendan Queen later on. We'll keep on moving here because the fun thing about this is most of the late model stock cars, at least, are all in the same area here. Is the KHI contingent, Brent Cruz, William Sawalich, and of course, NASCAR Cup Series driver Josh Berry. He's somewhere back in there. We'll catch up with him. What do you know? It's Brian from JRM. How you doing, Brian? We're doing a pit walk here on FloRacing. How do you feel about this week?
Pretty good about this week. If we get the rain gets out of here, I think it'll be a pretty good show.
We got some sun coming out, some blue skies. We'll have some fun today, right?
I think so.
All right, good luck. We're going to go, actually, I think we're going to go try to catch up with his driver there because he's laughing. He can't believe that Brian even just did an interview here. Carson Kvapil, who, my goodness, you're making waves in the Xfinity Series. What's more surprising, your speed so far in the Xfinity Series or the fact that we just got Brian on camera?
I was definitely thinking the fact that Brian spoke to you guys, honestly. That really shocked me. Usually we've had an interview back at the shop with one of our PR guys, and I don't know if I heard a word. I just heard a lot of grunting. So, no, Brian's a good guy, and he's a little camera shy. But no, we've been running good in that Xfinity car. It's been a good run so far, and Darlington wasn't really what we hoped for, but Dover was almost really cool, and looking forward to the next 5 more we have.
Dude, what is that smell over here right now? It smells amazing.
I smell syrup or something. I don't know. I think our guys are making breakfast. It might be us.
Man, that smells good. We might have to hang around the JRM pit some more. How do you feel about tonight getting a second win here at North Wilkesboro Speedway?
And it'd be pretty awesome, honestly. Just to get one here, I'm satisfied, right? But obviously, if you can go be the repeat winner, that's pretty awesome. But we'll just see. I mean, the track's a lot different than when we won here, and there's some similarities, but I think it's kind of anyone's race now that it's repaved. It's kind of changed the game up a little bit. We really don't have tire conservation more so anymore, and it's just going to be all about who has the best car. And really, I mean, I don't think there's going to be any fall off. So I think whoever has the best car is going to prevail.
I think the biggest thing that I noticed here, Matthew, behind him is you're like AC/DC today. You're back in black. Why are you back in black?
Oh, that's just, we have 2 cars that we run, and this is I guess the newer car, you'd say. This is the one we run at Wilkesboro and some more hammer down tracks. Just different car, that's all it is.
What do you like more? I like that it's basically inverse of each other, but do you like the white or the black more?
Honestly, I like the black when we started running it, but it's just really hot in the summertime. The sun makes it like 150 degrees. So to me, I think the white car honestly looks a little better. I don't know if it's just the fact that it's a new design that we haven't ran or the number's a little different. But I like the old white one probably a little better.
I know that you don't like to be hot either. You're complaining a little bit at Ace when it finally got a little warm this year.
Yeah, I don't like the heat at all. I put some meat on my bones in the last off season. I don't know if that's.
Are you kidding me? He put some meat on it. Look at the two of us. I'm like a full body size wider than this kid.
I gained like 20 or 30 pounds trying to just stay better in the summertime so I don't get so hot. We'll see.
All right, hey, best of luck here. We're going to keep on moving. Maybe Carson Kvapil, the 2-time and defending champion, will get himself a second win here and another ride up the elevator here. This is a cool-looking car, the Cherry Lemon Sundrop for Carson Kvapil's teammate here, Sammy Smith, NASCAR Xfinity Series driver. Sammy, we're doing a pit walk here on FloRacing. What do you think about running a late model stock car here at North Wilkesboro?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's cool to have the Cherry Lemon Sundrop on the car this week, and hopefully we get it in today.
The fans certainly are not going to miss this thing out there.
No, it's very bright red. It's looking good.
What do you think about this racetrack and now that it's been repaved?
It's fast. Yeah, we were able to do the test here a couple weeks ago and has a lot of grip, really no tire fall off. So I think qualifying will be very important, and hopefully we get some practice time and get to race tonight. That'd be awesome.
You've done some pretty cool things in your still young racing career, but how cool would it be to be over there and go up that lift to victory lane here?
It'd be super cool. I was able to do it there in the super late model the first year they came back here, and I raced here last year and in the Super, and to run a late model stock would be pretty cool with the caliber of field, and then obviously race for JRM would be super cool as well.
All right, thanks, man, for catching up with us. Best of luck here. We're going to keep on moving down the pit area, see who we can find here. Gio Ruggiero in a third Lee Pulliam performance car, Isabella Robusto in the 55, and of course we caught up with him before, the 03 of Brendan Queen. Let's see if the local hero is out around his race car here. This is another car that you cannot miss on the racetrack. I'm colorblind, and even I can see it. Dylan Wilson's number 4. Where is old Dylan? Seth, is Dylan around? He's on his way
right now.
Oh, he is with Baby Wilkes, says car owner Seth here. So Dylan's not here yet. He just has you guys doing all the work, huh?
That's it. Yeah, no, Dylan will be here to do it, but, being a new dad, he's got to take care of those responsibilities, too. They started a little earlier than he's used to, I'm sure.
Yeah, you think he got any sleep?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we didn't stay out too late last night. He went back and put Baby Wilkes to sleep, came back to the Neon Shack, had a little bit of fun, and then they went back home for a little while.
I know Dylan said you guys had some speed back at the test. How do you think this is going to go for him?
I'm thinking we're doing really good today. I mean, it's got to be better than last year. We fought oil issues all last year, and so it's definitely got to be better than that. We were real excited with the way we were in practice at the test day. I think we were running probably about 70%, he said, on the throttle, and he was feeling really good about it. He definitely was fast, a lot faster than what we were used to out here, which is nice, but it's also going to be a little adjustment going into it.
Perfect. Thanks for catching up with us, Seth. Best of luck to you guys.
Appreciate it. Always good to see you guys.
Great to see you, too. If you are in the North Wilkesboro area, you need to head into downtown North Wilkesboro. Seth, the owner of Dylan Wilson's car, owns a restaurant called Dooley's. Matthew Dillner and I, if you didn't notice, we love to go eat, and they've got the best cheeseburgers in the town of North Wilkesboro. He also owns a brewery right across the street from it that has some pretty awesome pizza as well. Hey, Matthew, we're going to turn right here as you're showing his car. We're going to catch up with Chayton Lapsevich here. Chayton, come out here where it's a little bit brighter for us, buddy. First of all, your season has gotten off to a pretty solid start. What do you think about coming down, crossing the border, and racing with these car store guys?
It's been a lot of fun, honestly. It's been a pretty big learning curve for me, just getting used to the new car and the new tracks. But yeah, I think we've had a pretty good start to the season. I've gotten along pretty good with Chad and the whole team here, so we've got some good momentum going for sure.
How great is that sound behind us?
I mean, I'm going to like it a lot better when that sound's done and we're on the track. But no, I hope we can get some racing in today. I don't know. It looks like it might be all right a little bit later, so hopefully we'll be able to get some racing in for sure.
How cool would it be to ride that lift later this evening, get your first Cars Tour win at this racetrack of all racetracks?
That's the goal. I mean, this would be a big one for sure. So really cool track. I'm really excited to be here, and yeah, hopefully we can take that ride later tonight.
Chayton, thanks for catching up with us. Good luck tonight, buddy. Chayton Lapsevich has been a star in the now NASCAR Canada Series, formerly known as the NASCAR Pinty Series, which, by the way, if you haven't been watching that series on FloRacing the last couple of years, that's some of the most exciting racing you're going to find in stock car racing in general. It is a great time, whether it's on the dirt track that they go to at Ohsweken Speedway, the street courses of Quebec and Toronto, the road courses in just outside of Toronto, or the short tracks. They put on a show everywhere they go. I'm looking here to see who else we can find, but you know what, Matthew? This might not be a bad time to wrap up and just say that there is 2 big races tonight, 100 laps. Yo, good call, good call. Before we wrap up, let's go find Bobby McCarty here, see if Bobby will come on out and talk with us real quick. Here he comes.
He loves the media.
Bobby McCarty, I know you just love talking to me so much, but you enjoy it more at the end of the night when it's in Victory Lane.
Yeah, that's always a positive.
How do you think it's going to go here today? Are you going to ride the lift?
I hope so. What I really feel like is probably going to happen is we're going to end up starting on points, and I'm going to be rolling off outside pole, never making a lap on the track yet. So we'll see how this goes.
Did you miss the test session a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, from where the car got tore up at Orange County, we didn't have the time to fix it. They tore a bunch of stuff up, so we wasn't able to make the test. So now I'm kind of – this is worst case scenario for us, I feel like. But our affiliates with Lane and Caden tested for the tire test. We got some data from them, so hopefully the driver can figure it out. But we'll see.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I don't know if I've actually ever seen you look nervous before, but you genuinely look nervous right now. Like, how do you prepare for a race at a track that for you guys, this is still a short track, right? But this is a large track for you guys. It's the biggest track that we go to on the calendar. And now with this new pavement, nearly 2 seconds faster, like, how do you prepare for that?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't think there's no way to prepare for it, but Lane sent me a video, an in-car video of him testing for the tire test, so that helped out a lot. And I tried to find as much video as I possibly could just to be mentally prepared to be on the track and for the groove and throttle and all that stuff. So I did all the homework I can do. Hopefully that's enough. I hope I can at least get 5 laps today. I think that'll be sufficient, but we'll see, man. I'm excited. I'm happy to be here. It's a really historical place, so I don't know, fingers crossed we get at least a few laps of practice.
Look, you're a 3-time champion for a reason. You'll be all right?
Yeah, sure.
Hey, one thing is for certain, though. If you do ride that lift, I know the party ain't stopping until, where do we go, Tri-County next Saturday night? Probably that's when the party stops?
Yeah, maybe. I tried asking for tomorrow off, and I got rejected. So I might have to, I for real might have to call in sick tomorrow if we pull this off tonight, because I doubt I'll be in any condition to work at all. But we'll see, man. I'm not a big moonshine drinker, but I'll try some if we win.
Bobby McCarty, good luck. If he wins, man, this county's known for its moonshine and racing, and this county better watch out, Wilkes County. All right, I think it's a good time to wrap this thing up here. Let's do it, right? Oh, that's a good call. Before we wrap up, that 26 car, Peyton Sellers. My goodness, Peyton Sellers, we know how strong he is, multi-time NASCAR Weekly Series national champion. Very, very strong at this type of racetrack. Now that this has new pavement, the Hammer Down racetrack, South Boston, Dominion Speedway, he is going to be a factor here. But let's wrap this thing up here on FloRacing. As we said before, a massive doubleheader, 100 laps, the Reverend 100 for the Pro late models, 125 laps in the Window World 125 for the late model stock cars. Qualifying will kick us off tonight, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on FloRacing, with both races to get underway at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time is the scheduled start time. The late model stocks will kick us off first. Hopefully you are tuning in tonight because you are not going to want to miss this one.
All right, we appreciate all the work that Rob Blount and Matthew Dillner do down there in the pits with that pit walk. So really look forward to watching that just about every single race that we have. But for those of you in the grandstands and for those of you watching on FloRacing, the Tour has announced that as far as pro late model qualifying is concerned, it will not be able to be completed in its entirety, as a couple of pro late model drivers are pushing their cars back to their haulers at the moment. So with that, the qualifying that we saw earlier, as we were not able to get every single car in attempting qualifying per Cars Tour rules, we will revert back to owners' points and their position here in the 2024 season. So the lineup will look like this. Caden Honeycutt in the number 51, who currently leads in owners' points, will lead us to the green flag for 100 laps later on tonight as your Molly Polo Award sitter. Spencer Davis in second, Kyle Campbell third. Caden Quapple will start fourth. Fifth will be TJ DeCare. Sixth, Jimmy Renfrew Jr. Nick Loden seventh. Jonathan Schaefer eighth. Connor Jones ninth. And Tristan McKee will start 10th. 11th, Jake Bowman. 12th, Dylan Garner. Ashton Higgins will start 13th. Brandon Lopez 14th. Justin Kreider 15th. 16th will be Joshua Horniman with Logan Jones in 17th. Cory Heim 18th. Dawson Sutton 19th. Hudson Bolger in 20th, and 21st will be Dustin Bryson. That completes the cars that did have owners' points coming into this race. The rest of the starting order, with everybody tied in owners' points, having none, they will their order was determined by a pill draw. It'll be Jeb Burton 22nd, Matt Craig 23rd, Cody Coughlin 24th, Luke Baldwin will start 25th, Seth Christensen 26th, Clayton Green 27th, 28th will be Dylan Fetcho, 29th Stephen Nassy, 30th will be George Phillips, and Carson Brown will be the 31st starter. And Eric, I know there were a couple of drivers that were kind of on the fence of whether they wanted to see qualifying continue. I'm sure many of those that we were talking about at the top of the order are quite happy that we're not able to get all the way through, but I think we have to give credit where credit is due. And some of the incredible laps that we saw, I know a lot of fans out there watching on FloRacing were loving what they were seeing, that these drivers were being pushed to the limit, and I think you have to give credit to the lap that Dylan Fetcho, that Logan Jones, that several of those competitors made. It may not show in their starting position for tonight, but certainly a job well done for many of those drivers and many of those race teams.
Yeah, now granted, we only got through 20 of the scheduled 32 cars that were supposed to be out on the racetrack for Mile Pole Award qualifying, but as Blake mentioned, I mean, Dylan Fetcho being the only driver to be under 18 seconds with his lap time. Logan Jones, who had to miss a race to repair his car, being second quickest. Cory Heim, fifth. Seth Christensen was sixth at the time of the stoppage. Cody Coughlin, Stephen Nasse, George Phillips, all drivers who don't have any owner's points to lean on, and they're going to be relegated to starting towards the tail end of the field. Heim will be 18th, as Blake mentioned, and then, of course, Fetcho goes from being the provisional and potential pole sitter. Even if every car that would have came out after him would have ran quicker, the worst that he would have started was 13th. He's going to roll off in 28th spot, but that is a driver with much success, much veteran prowess, and much patience, which may be the three key and main ingredients required to have success whenever we are able to get this race underway for the Pro Late models. And I think on the other end of the spectrum, the driver who may have benefited the most from this shift based on cars that went out on the racetrack would probably be that of Nick Loden. He was 14th at the time that the session was stopped, and due to his place in owner's points, he's going to start 7 spots higher in the 7th spot. So some winners, some losers in the way in which this all unfolded, but nevertheless, that's how it's all panned out. And as Blake said, the plan is hopefully to still try to get late model stock qualifying in.
Yep, and that is the plan that we are at least have been most recently told, that the plan is for now to still try and get late model stock car qualifying. Should that change, we will provide those updates to you as soon as it becomes available to us here on FloRacing. But for now, we will step aside for just a moment. As you can see, there's still some rain in the area here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. But for now, Pro Late Model qualifying will not be able to be completed in its entirety. And for 100 laps later on tonight, it'll be Caden Honeycutt who will lead us to the green flag for the Pro Late Model event later on. And again, stay tuned to Cars Torch social media, to FloRacing social media on Facebook and on X for any further updates. And of course, as anything becomes available to us, we will provide that to you as well here on FloRacing. So we will step aside for just a moment as we are under a weather delay here at North Wilkesboro Speedway.
is about to get underway. Brendan Queen leads him to the line in the Window World 125.
What have you learned throughout the tests? What is this race going to be like?
I think it's going to be all about track position. Obviously, the open test was different than the tire test. The tire test, I didn't get much to run, or much experience on what we're actually going to race on. So the open test, we had to roll out right away on, the ST3 and the ST2. With the harder tire, I feel like it's going to be really hard to pass. You're kind of going to get single file, and you don't have the side bite in the tire to race side by side. So that's the unfortunate part. But I hope it proves me wrong, and I hope we run door to door, but this thing's going to be really hard.
I would say other than the line you drive for the most part, completely different. Obviously overall grip. But, I would say out of two for us drivers, at least myself and some of my competitors I've talked to, it didn't really feel, much different where you're coming uphill other than, like I said, just overall grip. But I'm telling you, out of four and down that front stretch where it goes downhill, you are absolutely hauling the mail. So, I like it. I do miss the old pavement, but I think that's the history in me of liking it, and all of us, us racing gurus that appreciated that part of it. But I think also for the lifespan of the racetrack, if we want longevity, they needed to be done. So, kudos to everybody at SMI and everything. And, obviously Dale getting it all kickstarted a couple years back. But, and I'll be honest to say, I had to swallow my words. I didn't think it would move around too much. I was worried about passing when we go back. And obviously, that's still to be seen. But after the test and seeing how I felt like the groove widened out some, I think we should be able to go back and have some good side-by-side racing. And obviously that's what's most important. You can pave these tracks left and right, but you want to keep the good racing that they put on. And obviously so far the two times we've been there, North Wilkesboro's done that. So I have good faith that we should be able to do that when we go back, and we're just going to be about a second and a half faster.
That tire that they're on, that Hoosiers designed, it seems to be a pretty good consistent tire that we was running right there at Wilkesboro. I think it was on a 2 and a 3, but it seems that it's going to put on a good show for everybody. You're running a little bit faster than normal, so it's going to be it's going to be an outside feeder probably on the short runs, but just biggest thing is keeping the side grip in the car as fast as you're running and keeping the tire temps down. It seems like it's wanting to show a lot of high tire temps, but we're going to do our best to keep them down and be up there at the end.
Yeah, so I ran the Pro last year. I started dead last and finished 6th. So the racetrack's pretty cool. We came here this year for the late model stock test, not the Pro, and the pavement was way different. Super, super fast, and the fall off was major. So I think they got what they wanted out of it. Obviously the new pavement. So, we'll see when this comes around.
So that was interesting. You just said even though it's super fast, it did have fall off, and obviously that's not what you expect out of brand new pavement. So was that unexpected at the test, and what do you think the race is going to be like with that?
Honestly, I have no idea. You run one really fast lap, and then it falls off dramatically about 2/10, and it's not just us, it's everybody. So we'll see really what it races like. It's a big racetrack, and the tires get super hot. So I think everybody's still going to be watching that right front tire. It's going to be pretty cool. It's fast and it's hot.
We didn't really have a lot of fall off. There's initial grip, but I think the longer you run, the tire just can't take it. Like the F45s could, or a softer tire, just because it's a harder tire, obviously, because they don't want the tire temps to get up. But I would say there's definitely initial grip, but I think the longer you run, you're going to definitely feel the grip go away, not because the track doesn't have grip, just because of the harder tire.
How special would it be for you to ride that elevator into victory lane?
Man, it would, for me in my career, there's, I've won a car store race, beat Josh Berry, beat everybody, running in that, and then obviously got my first win against, one of the greatest of all time, and Philip Morris at South Boston. So I'm just blessed to do this and blessed to be racing in the toughest series around. So, but if I could sit there and ride that lift, I could probably about call it good. It's just, obviously with our family business up there, 2 exits up from the racetrack, I'm going to have a lot of friends and family there. It's obviously a big week for us, myself and my good buddy Dylan Wilson, and all of his family history up there. It's so much bigger than me, and just being proud and not taking it for granted to get to be a part of it. But I'll be honest with you, as good of friends as you and I have become, and with Dillner, I'm not really sure what my reaction and emotions would be. It would probably be something like, I don't really know what to do with my hands type deal. Maybe a couple extra victory laps, but Wilkes County would definitely know Brandon Pierce won that night. I can promise you that. So.
Oh, that's of course. That's the goal right now. Right now, while we're trying to ramp everything up, is to try to get all this out of our way that we can, and would love to be in my first Cars Tour win, of course, but it's going to be hard and competitive just like it was at Martinsville. But it'd be awesome to put that trophy right beside the clock and just keep building the stats.
Changed my life, and I tell that to everybody. You know, that race is probably what turned my whole season around to where I knew I could go win these races in the Tour, and we kind of went on our run there at the end of the year, but we were a contender the whole season after that. And, you know, also, you know, we went from that and went to win the Hampton Heat, which obviously is NASCAR, but we had the mentality of our team that we could go do it. And I tell everybody, without me winning that race, who knows if I get the opportunity to go run a truck there in 2 weeks. So that's the special part about it. You know, you never know how it's going to work out at the time we win the race. And you know, if that's all that ever happened to me, I'm the happiest I've ever been in a race car, getting to race late models and win those races. But who knew what a year later would turn into.
get ready to praise Dale, raise some hell. Drivers, start your engines.
10 to 15 minutes before the race when we're strapped in and waiting is probably the worst time, because at that point you kind of know where you're starting, obviously, and you kind of know what kind of car you have, and at that point it's time to go to work. So once they give that command to fire engines, the nerves kind of settle, but until then you're anxious, ready to go, and ready to go make some history happen.
I'm kind of off to myself more than usual. I am a little bit of a social butterfly at times, but I think it's funny, the closer to race time and the better I know the car is, the quieter I am, I guess, because I know that if the car is on point, then obviously the job at hand is more in my lap. Then it's simply just based on execution, not simply based on, you know, we have a car that's close, how can I take a car that's close and figure out a way to win this race, versus I have the car to win this race. How do I, you know, make sure that we hit the bullseye?
Some races I go into with not much, expectation. With, either I qualify not too great, and the only way to go is up or forward. So it's those races I feel like I'm a little less stressed, and when I qualified good and am up front, I feel like I need to make sure that I stay up there, and it's kind of all like just a personal thing with me. I kind of beat myself up too much, and I need to kind of realize that, things happen for a reason. And if you have a good car one weekend, awesome. If you don't, you don't, and you come back and you try again.
The emotions are definitely strong, especially going to tracks that we haven't been to all year, and it could be our first time ever there. Just that 10-15 minutes, we really have to be focused and know exactly what's going on to get our best idea of how the car is going to perform later in the day.
Well, I'm thinking about just how on the way to win the race. Like, it's, even if I am running 10th or I'm winning, like, there's always somebody that will be on your butt the entire time waiting to pounce, and especially when you make a mistake. So I'm always just thinking about what I can do to improve, what can I do with my fans to help me out with my left or right front brake or left or right rear brake. So this always just runs that through my mind to see what I can do to go better.
I actually compare it a lot to when I strapped into a NASCAR Craftsman truck for the first time, or anytime you take that next step. Maybe it's going from a limited late model to a late model stock car for the first time, but the lights are definitely brighter and the stage is definitely bigger in the Cars Tour, and especially here as of late. The last couple of years we've grown a lot as a series, and we're getting a lot more competitive race cars on the racetrack at once, and bigger name drivers and personalities are starting to come to the front and show up in a big way. So anytime you can strap in and you set out there on the front stretch getting ready to take off in a Cars Tour event, it's pretty special.
Definitely a little bit of all that, definitely some emotions and nerves when you first pull out there, because you've kind of gotten jacked up, ready to go, and now shut everything off and you're just kind of sitting there. It's definitely been a balance throughout my years of racing. I think I handle it better now than I used to, but Wilkesboro definitely gets me, anywhere with a big crowd for sure. But it's just cool to kind of take a minute and realize where you're at and realize what you're getting to do, and have a minute kind of away from everybody to yourself to just appreciate it and take it all in and really enjoy it.
Welcome back to the North Wilkesboro Speedway. As you can see, we continue to be in a bit of a holding pattern due to what has been just an absolutely pestering set of rain showers that has been coming, and I won't call it waves, but splashes, no pun intended. In the term of that, it'll rain for a little bit and then stop, and then rain for a little bit and then stop. But as you can see, our hardworking crew remains on the ready to bring you what we hope to be the Window World 125, as well as the Reverend Sour Mash Whiskey 100 here from the North Wilkesboro Speedway, part of the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear. Now, when we last left you, prior to the announcement that the Pro Late models had their qualifying sessions scrapped and set by the rulebook, Blake, we also received word not that long ago that the late model stock cars are in a similar boat. So Connor Hall's rain dance did in fact work, as he will be starting on the pole for the Window World 125 by virtue of the owner's points that was leaned on to determine our 40-car starting grid.
Yeah, Connor Hall, you mentioned in his interview that he was hoping that that was going to be the case, and just an unfortunate situation. Again, what we saw in Pro Late model qualifying was so compelling, so entertaining to watch these drivers be pushed to their limit in terms of being able to try and get around this 5/8 of a mile racetrack as quickly as possible and be able to do it. I know the late model stock cars were going to dazzle and do the same with the stars and the incredible lineup that we have there, but unfortunately it is not going to come to fruition that they'll be able to qualify. So like you said, started by owner's points, it'll be Connor Hall, Carson Quapple, which, by the way, trailing Connor Hall by a couple more positions in the driver's standings, but, of course, with Mason Diaz filling in at Hickory Motor Speedway and whatnot, that car second in owner's points right now, so Quapple will go from second. Bobby McCarty will start in third. Fourth will be Minnie Tyrell. Fifth, Trayton Lapsevich. Sixth, Brent Cruz. Brendan Queen will start in seventh. Last year's winner of the Window World 125. Ryan Millington, who was so close to going to victory lane at Ace Speedway a couple of weeks ago on Friday night, will go from eighth. William Sawalich, that number 62, that's kind of been passed around between a number of drivers. Landon Lewis, Lane Riggs has made starts in that 62 car for KHI. Sawalich will go from ninth, and Chad McCumbee, great season for him so far, will start 10th.
Now, on the back end of the field, one of the most important talking points that we had leading up to the qualifying session was the go or go home scenario. Now, the rule book stated that we would go by owner's points, and being at this point in the season, we've had at least up to this point 31 cars accumulate owner's points in the 2024 season. They were locked into the field by virtue of at least attempting a Cars Tour event this season. That takes you all the way back to Stephen Nasse, who in fact actually missed the show at Southern National Motorsports Park earlier on this season. He was locked in by virtue of the owner's points he had accrued up to this point in the year. The remainder of the field was set by pill draw. So drivers who were able to luck their way into the field by virtue of the pill draw that took place to set the back end portion of the field, these were drivers who had no owner's points to stand on and had to get in on time by virtue of this pill draw, include the likes of Giovanni Ruggiero, Peyton Sellers, Lane Riggs, who is driving for a team that is making its first start of the season, Sammy Smith in the Junior Motorsports number 88, Tyler Gregory in the 87, Tyler Tomasi in the number 21 for AK Performance, Tate Fogelman, Dylan Wilson, the hometown favorite, and 2017 Cars Tour champion Josh Berry in the 4B was able to net the final spot on the grid in 40th. And the one driver who unfortunately is going to be watching this race from the sidelines is going to be the number 5 of Dexter Knipe Jr., who again, that was by virtue of the pill draw that was conducted to filter out who would be the drivers who would make up the bottom portion of the field. So unique circumstances, of course, Blake, but I have to say, you know, we've been up here watching the entire afternoon unfold. First off, hats off to our entire FloRacing production team, because they have been on the ready every time that we've been wanting to bring you any bit of on-track activity or updates, but also everyone with the Cars Tour and the folks here at North Wilkesboro Speedway and SMI. I mean, the track crew has been working all day long just to try to get the practice session in, the bit of qualifying that we had, but I also want to extend a huge heartfelt bit of gratitude to what you see right there, these race fans. We have not seen many people head for the exits just yet, even though the forecast does not necessarily look favorable over the course of the next hour, but these fans are sticking around because they know how important this is, and we all want to see some racing tonight.
Oh, no doubt about it. And, you know, I think that there is some time and later on tonight that, you know, shows some promise as far as a window of opportunity, I guess you could say. And, you know, I think the Tour has been quite clear that, yes, they're willing to kind of wait this one out, that it may be a late night if it comes to that. But, you know, these race fans deserve to see some racing if we can get it in, if at all possible. So, if anything, the track drying crew has been hard at work. They just opened the back gate, so they have momentarily paused the goings-on there to get this track dry. But as soon as that gate gets closed, I'm sure that everything will be back on track, trying to get this track that has been a little dampened by some rain showers within the last hour or so back into racing conditions. And, yes, the fans that have shown up in droves here for a number of years. I remember I was sitting in the grandstands in turns 1 and 2 here in August of 2022. I know you had the pleasure of pit reporting for that race, but just being able to be part of that racetrack revival here and to see the level of passion. I mean, the grandstands out there. Now, remember, this was just after the track came back. And when that that number 3 car was making some moves through the field, I almost felt like the grandstands were shaking in a way, which, you know, that's the level of passion that these fans have continued to bring to this racetrack since its return to regular racing. And the Cars Tour has obviously been a huge part of that. We're lucky to be back here, and we're hoping that later on tonight we'll be able to put on a race for those fans, not only here in the grandstands, but those watching on FloRacing.
While the rich history of this racetrack remains to be quite present in terms of not only its appeal and aesthetic, I have to say, and you can see it there on many portions of your screen, the additional amenities that have been built in. If you don't have plans this weekend and you want to come out and see some great racing, if you're not close enough to come out here tonight, should we get this show in, I want to invite everyone out to North Wilkesboro Speedway. And perhaps, Blake, one of the coolest things that we haven't mentioned all that much yet is this is going to be the championship decider as well on October 19th for the Pro Late Models and Late Model Stocks. So if for whatever reason you weren't able to join us here on this midweek affair that we hope to bring to you later on tonight, be sure to join us here on October 19th. This place is going to be just as dressed up as it is for All-Star Week that is leading up into the Sunday night running of the NASCAR All-Star Race. But our hope is we will have racing here tonight with the Window World 125 and the Reverend Sour Mash Whiskey 100 for the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear.
Surprised you didn't mention this Smart Modified Tour will be there as well that weekend.
That too, yeah. And all of which
had to
will
get
be
that mention in
on FloRacing as well. So a lot of racing to look forward to, not only this year, but also we are going to continue to hope for here tonight as well. We're going to step aside. I want to continue to advise everyone, make sure that your streams are up and running so we can keep you up to speed as to what the plan and agenda is here tonight. Opening ceremonies was scheduled about 15 minutes ago. Everything is in a complete holding pattern until we get enough of a window in to inch closer to race time. So please keep your eyes and ears tuned, not only here on FloRacing, but also across all of our social media outlets. We will try to keep you up to snuff as far as what our plan is going to be for the remainder of this evening. In the interim, we're going to step aside, and we'll be back once we have more information on tonight's running here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway for the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear.
That's what you know is going down. This is in Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. This song right here makes you want to spin somebody out. Like, cut me off, on the hood, spun out.
It is 6:13. She's stressed out. We're trying to get on the road to go to North Wilkesboro. Big race this week, obviously. What do you think, Nicole Natchez?
About what? I don't have an answer for that.
Siri answered me before you did because she cares about the vlog.
I do.
Anyways, it's not. It's an intro. Anyways, we are en route, leaving now. Gonna get some chicken tendies probably.
We are?
I don't know. Now you want to be my friend. We are on the way. 5 hours. How did Bojangles?
So good.
Had to wait on the bow rounds. Couldn't have got fries like a normal human.
If you know, you know.
Got some chicken tendies.
Hey, how y'all doing? We are sitting here sweating, getting a nice sweat, work off this dad bod I got, and currently making a shock adjustment here to try to get a little more speed out of it for tonight.
Brendan Butterbean Queen, and he goes right to the top of the charts by over 0.2 of a second. 19.125 for Brendan Queen, a blistering lap, and we'll see if he can do one better here on lap number 2.
Man, what do you think? We're on the pole. This is badass. I mean, like, oh, we gotta get a photo. I mean, I dreamed of stuff like this. You dream of being on poles at these big events, but Wilkesboro is a different breed. I mean, Lee Pulliam's organization, Doug Powers with the calls today as the crew chief, this whole team. My boy Eddie right here, get him in it, got the tires matched right for qualifying. I just can't believe it. The good Lord blessed us today, and hopefully we'll have a little bit of luck left in the tank for tonight.
Now you get to go to the media center.
Oh, shoot, I do. I don't even know where it's at. Somebody walk me there.
I know this season a lot of people very excited to do that.
I tell you, the last probably 6 months, my life has changed. Actually, these three right here, John Staten and Lori and Hunter, their family with the bestrepair.net on the car, have really gave me an opportunity to drive their dirt car and also go with Lee Pulliam, which one of the best to ever do it.
I'm mad that Bob left, Bob Pockris left. I wanted to talk to him. I love his tweets. That's the man's computer right there. Bob Pockris, everybody. Man of the people.
Rowdy down there. Already seen a Butterbean fan chugging a beer.
exciting. I'm so excited. Best birthday present I've ever had in my entire life, except for the day he was born, which was my birthday too. So, but I'm just so happy.
Brandon Queen is a race winner at North Wilkesboro Speedway. How does that, so just hearing that, how does that make you feel?
Man, as a driver, you dream of winning races like Martinsville and the Heat and the Thanksgiving Classic, and this race is one of those.
Keep bringing the heat.
Thank you.
Thank you, Smarty. Congrats.
Finally got to meet Bob.
Got it. We made up for it earlier. We are here. Get the sign in it. We are here at the Waffle House. We got it done. Winners at Wilkesboro. You can't make this up. Bad in the mud. Where's the waffle? We ain't got it yet. How's your eggs? Got a chalky milk.
Welcome back to North Wilkesboro Speedway. Let's take a look at next week's event, streaming live on FloRacing. The Short Track Super Series will be at the Action Track USA on May 21st. USAC Sprint Cars have 3 nights of racing, May 21st through the 23rd at Terre Haute and Circle City. The Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, Show Me 100 from the Lucas Oil Speedway, May 23rd through the 25th. The PDRA American Door Slammer Challenge that takes place at May 23rd to the 25th. From Summit Motorsports Park. Then we got 3 nights of the Spring National Late Models, May 24th to the 26th at Sugar Creek, North Georgia, and Duck River. Port Royal hosts the Kubota High Limit Racing Series, May 25th through the 26th for the Bob Weichert Memorial. For more information on everything we're streaming next week, head on over to floracing.com/events. As you can see, everything remains as it was when we last left you, minus the little bit of a light show that is being put on by the North Wilkesboro Speedway for the fans, drivers, and teams who continue to stick it out with us here for what we hope to be a fun night of racing at the North Wilkesboro Speedway, with the Window World 125 being the headliner for the late model stock cars. I'm Eric Brennan alongside of Blake McCandless. And Blake, along with the fans at home, we have been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and we continue to do so and continue to hold out some optimism here, being that there is a lot to happen here at this racetrack this week. So the opportunity to try to get this race in appears to be hinging on this evening, and we continue to hold out hope that that will in fact happen.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it earlier, a little bit of a light show going on, and, well, they're certainly doing that right now. Again, the track drying crew came off of the racetrack, but at least putting on a little bit of a light show for, again, so many of the fans that have continued to stick around here and wait out the weather. But at least we got a nice little light show going on here.
I mean, I know
testing
that
everything out. You know, you mentioned for All-Star Weekend and whatnot. It's good to put the lights through some of its paces, I'm sure.
Yeah, especially in these conditions and in these circumstances. But I'll tell you, Blake, there's, there may still be something to look forward to tonight, but we got a lot more to look forward to on Flo as well.
That's true. We can take a look at some of those upcoming events. The Kubota High Limit Racing heads to Port Royal, followed by stops at Grandview and Lawrenceburg on the 31st. The USAC Sprint Cars take on Terre Haute, Circle City, and Knoxville. Short Track Super Series will compete at Action Track USA and Airborne Park Speedway. The Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, Show Me 100 from Lucas Oil Speedway. And the next 2 stops for the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear has back-to-back weeks of action here on FloRacing from both Tri-County Speedway and Langley Speedway. That'll be coming up May 25th and on June 1st. For more information on can't-miss events streaming live on FloRacing, head to floracing.com/events. And I know Tri-County is a race, Eric, that if you look at each of the events that we had there last year, that one was certainly great. And you speak of a light show, we kind of had a little bit of a light show at Langley last year, if you want to be literal about it.
In more ways than one, for sure. Obviously, a lot of us are spending a lot of our time here either looking at the radar or maybe checking in with our fellow neighbors up here in the booth. We've seen a lot of drivers and fans alike mingling as we all continue to wait word as to what the future or fate of tonight's racing action has in store. Again, the Window World 125 for late model stock cars and the Reverend Sour Mash Whiskey 100, which may also coincide with our contingency plans if we don't have any racing here tonight. We'll be back with more information and updates here from North Wilkesboro Speedway on FloRacing in just a few moments, hopefully.
It's the perfect time to find an affordable vehicle. Visit HendrickCars.com and shop our large selection, including over 1,000 vehicles priced under $20,000. Plus, drive today but pay later with our payment deferral and 0 down options. Buy from the name you know and trust. Hendrick has received over 650,000 5-star online reviews. Over 1,000 vehicles under $20,000. Find yours at HendrickCars.com.
Lessen the noise of the track, not the rush of the race. With Sound Gear, hearing protection solutions that lap the competition. Perfect for racers, crew, fans, or anyone who works or plays in loud places. Sound Gear, official hearing protection sponsor of ZMAX Cars Tour. Sound Gear, ready for anywhere sound is a problem.
Want an easy way to help take care of your vehicle? ZMAX Micro Lubricant. ZMAX Micro Lubricant is a DIY solution that pours into your fuel and oil. ZMAX proprietary molecules are uniquely small, so they literally soak into the metal, dispersing harmful carbon deposits. This improves horsepower, extends engine life, and reduces emissions. ZMAX is good for your car, your wallet, and the environment. Can be used in new or used vehicles. Available at zmax.com or your local auto parts store.
Everyone knows that in stock car racing, every second matters.
It's time to double down. It's time to raise the stakes. And it is time to go all in with Kubota High Limit Racing.
This is the High Limit Room. It's the home of 24 high rollers.
Every weekend, it seems like we're at a racetrack somewhere. So we're living it, we're doing it. And I think that helps us relate whenever they call. If they need more grip or they need more turn, we do it all the time. All of the fixtures we do, from our steering dyno to our rear end straightening jig, it's the same fixtures, same tools that we would build a rear end housing that's going to run a NASCAR race as we do a rack or a steering box to go on a street stock. We treat them all the same way because, I mean, they deserve the same quality. Everybody does.
To help take care of your vehicle? Z-Max Micro Lubricant. Z-Max Micro Lubricant is a DIY solution that pours into your fuel and oil. Z-Max proprietary molecules are uniquely small, so they literally soak into the metal, dispersing harmful carbon deposits. This improves horsepower, extends engine life, and reduces emissions. Z-Max is good for your car, your wallet, and the environment. Can be used in new or used vehicles. Available at zmax.com or your local auto parts store.
Hendrick. It's the perfect time to find an affordable vehicle. Visit HendrickCars.com and shop our large selection, including over 1,000 vehicles priced under 20 grand. Plus, drive today but pay later with our payment deferral and zero down options. Buy from the name you know and trust. Hendrick has received over 650,000 five-star online reviews. Over 1,000 vehicles under 20 grand. Find yours at HendrickCars.com.
It's time to double down. It's time to raise the stakes. And it is time to go all in with Kubota High Limit Racing.
This is the High Limit Room. It's the home of 24 high rollers.
Back here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway for the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear. And as you can see, by virtue of our speed shot, there is some movement in the pit area, but not for the reason in which we were hoping for. Judging by the rain that continues to fall here at this 5/8 of a mile oval, as well as the indication of what we have seen on the radar in terms of our hopes to get tonight's racing action in, it is just not meant to be. With everything that is going on here this weekend, the decision has been made with the North Wilkesboro Wilkesboro Speedway and the ZMAX Cars Tour to unfortunately have to postpone tonight's racing action, both the Window World 125 and the Reverend Sour Mash Whiskey 100, to a later date that will be announced later on. So again, tonight's racing action here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway has officially been postponed, and the date for a potential makeup round in the ZMAX Cars Tour Championship is going to have to be announced at a later date. However, Blake, even though this is not the outcome anybody was hoping for, of course, we still have quite the docket of races still to come as we start to enter the summer months, especially with Memorial Day weekend, the biggest weekend in that of motorsports, including a stop at Tri-County Speedway with our Cars Tour.
And again, that'll be right around Charlotte Motor Speedway and the Coca-Cola 600 taking place there, so a great part of that weekend. You mentioned this part of the schedule, Tri-County Motor Speedway, one of the great facilities that we go to here in the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear, had some incredible races last year. You think of Brendan Queen and Landon Huffman that were able to go to Victory Lane at Tri-County last year. Going to be something that is certainly worth looking forward to. Langley Speedway, wasn't fortunate enough to make the trip last year, but loved watching it as a fan on FloRacing. Dominion, Caraway, we have some great races that are coming up as we start to kind of inch our way into the summer months. It's going to be a lot of fun. Great time to be a fan, not just of the ZMAX Cars Tour, but how about late model stock car racing in general? You have the Virginia Triple Crown that'll be coming up with Langley, South Boston, and of course capping it off with Martinsville towards the end of the year. So much happening in the late model stock car world. Unfortunately, it's just not going to be happening tonight at North Wilkesboro Speedway.
So the key from tonight's action is, of course, please try to keep your eyes peeled on the FloRacing website, at all of our social media outlets, as well as the same for that of the ZMAX Cars Tour. Again, there is a lot of logistical details that have to be figured out to see what the next step will be, but what we do know right now is that tonight's racing action from the North Wilkesboro Speedway has been postponed, and a date for a makeup opportunity will be announced in the near future. We do not have that information to pass along just yet, and we will not be able to bring that to you before we go off air. So again, you'll have to check out the FloRacing website as well as the ZMAX Cars Tour website and all of our social media outlets. So all of the anticipation and hype leading up to one of the most coveted races on the calendar is going to have to continue to wait at least for a short while. So, Blake, I know that this was something we were all looking forward to in a very big way, and I have to say, hats off to everybody here at the Speedway, everyone with the Cars Tour, all of the fans, and all of you who are still watching along from home. I could promise that every effort was taken. Mother Nature just did not cooperate for us tonight, and it's unfortunate, but everyone did the best that they could, and I think the correct decision has been made here because we would have had to wait a long while to see race cars with the way the weather continues to roll through here.
Yeah, and I was about to say, kind of looking at the radar and what's upcoming here for this racetrack, and at this point in the evening, it's very humid here. It would take a long time to continue to dry this facility and put it in a place where it could be racing. And if we were to find a window and to dry with the weather that's come in, unfortunately, it would just be, it would be so late that it would be tough to have a lot of fans sticking around. Again, this is a midweek show, and with everything coming up in NASCAR All-Star Weekend, it's tough to run up against that. So has not been for a lack of effort, as you said, both the Tuesday and Wednesday, the tour, and we know everybody at the tour, and they tried their hearts out to find any window of opportunity, any way that they could possibly try to get this race in. And they want to do it for these race teams that, have to come out here and spend the money and put their cars out here. And it wasn't for a lack of effort at all. The tire test was to try and dial these cars in to get ready for this event. A lot of effort has gone into this event, and there's a lot of pride that goes into this event, specifically with the Cars Tour, and thinking that it played a large role in the revival of this racetrack. It's an event that, I think Dale Jr. says it well, that this is the Daytona 500, you could say, of the ZMAX Cars Tour season. And it's not something a decision that was made lightly. And unfortunately, it's just going to have to wait. Now, we're not going to get it in tonight, but I can't wait to see what that date would look like. Again, I know there's a lot of differing schedules between what we already have coming up in the summer and all those different late model stock car races, which the Tour is very respectful of. Again, a lot of conversations will have to go on between SMI and the Cars Tour to find out what that right date would be and to make it special for these drivers. many of the likes of Brandon Jones, Josh Berry, and several big names from outside, I would say, our regular competition in the Cars Tour to be able to come out here and race in a late model stock. But unfortunately, not going to happen tonight. But still looking forward to when it does come, and the fact that, of course, we will be here to eventually crown a champion at the end of the year. That's going to be something that's certainly worth looking forward to. But it's going to be a fun one, and I know it'll be a fun one, just won't be happening tonight.
They say some of the best things in life are worth waiting for. That will still be the case for the Reverend 100 and the Window World 125. Again, a date to be announced as far as when this event will be run, and we will try to bring you that information once we have it. But until then, we are going to allow our incredibly hardworking production team and all of those behind the scenes who work diligently to help bring you the sights and sounds of what did take place here today at North Wilkesboro Speedway to you. We're going to allow them a chance to start unloading and packing, or I should say loading and packing back up as the race teams are doing, and turn our attention to that of Tri-County Speedway, May 25th in Granite Falls, North Carolina, for a Memorial Day weekend doubleheader with the late model stocks and pros will be the next time we have the chance to bring you the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear. On behalf of Jacqueline Drake, Blake McCandless, I'm Eric Brennan. One more thank you to our team. So long from North Wilkesboro. We'll see you in Tri-County. Good night, everybody.